रिकॉर्ड अपन भी कर रहे हैं नहीं सर वहीं से वो कर रहे हैं थोड़ा सा
So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste, and a very warm welcome to all of you to the World Teen Parliament's first parliamentary session. A very warm welcome to three of our amazing guests for being here with us today, this morning. A very important moment this is for all of us, as at this point, we are going to initiate the world's first ever exclusive parliament of teenagers. आप सभी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत विश्व किशोर संसद के पहले संसदीय सत्र के लिए। आज हम लोगों के लिए बहुत ही एक महत्वपूर्ण दिन है, क्योंकि हम दुनिया की पहली किशोर संसद स्थापित करने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। एंड कुछ बहुत ही दिग्गज लोग आज हमारे साथ इस मंच को साझा करेंगे, और हम बहुत बड़ा धन्यवाद और एक बहुत अच्छा सा हार्दिक अभिनंदन करते हैं सारे ही किशोरों का, who have taken out the time and are here with us, the 100 MPs who will be working for the next one whole year at the World Teen Parliament to solve local and global issues. Thank you so much everyone for joining in. To initiate the session, now I would invite Mrs. Veena Bhavnesh Gaur, the chairperson of Blub, to do a formal welcome note, and then we'll be listening to our amazing speakers today at this first parliamentary session. A very warm welcome once again. Over to Mrs. Veena Bhavnesh Gaur.
Namaste, and a very good morning to all present here to witness this historical moment of Blub World's first World Teen Parliament. Because this is for the first time in the history of mankind that a parliament of teenagers has been elected and is being organized in the name of World Teen Parliament. We are privileged and feel so honored to welcome our esteemed guests to this wonderful occasion. First of all, we are highly honored to welcome Dr. C.P. Joshi, the Honourable Speaker of Rajasthan Legislative Assembly. Welcome, sir. Then, after that, we are proud to welcome Ms. Dhuwarakha Sriram, who is Chief of Generation Unlimited, YuWaah, UNICEF, Youth Development and Partnerships. And after that, last but not the least, we heartily welcome Mr. Purushottam Kaushik, Head of the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution Network India, World Economic Forum. After welcoming our respected guests, it's time to welcome with immense pleasure our real-life heroes, the teen heroes, the recently elected MPs of the first World Teen Parliament. So welcome our teen MPs. Now we give a warm welcome to our advisors, partners, supporters, renowned mentors, school custodians, school ambassadors, well-known school leaders, principals, teachers, caring parents, families and friends, and all our viewers with whose efforts we could complete this amazing journey of creating the first World Teen Parliament. We welcome again you all our honorables and each and every present here to this platform of our creative energy bombs that are our teenagers present here. So you all are cordially invited to this World Teen Parliament. So welcome you all. Over to Daksh.
Thank you so much, Veena ji, for the welcome note. Before we start directly going to our speakers, a small little briefing or the story of the World Teen Parliament from the day it began until now. Today, when we establish the World Teen Parliament here and honor the first top 100 teenagers who become the members of Parliament, just to give you a backgrounding, in the last 6 months, the World Teen Parliament received registrations of nearly 72,000 teenagers from across India, US, UK, Australia, Spain, and then started the process of them becoming the MPs. More than 1 million people gave you views, likes, and shares on the different social media, the videos that you posted, the solutions that you gave. From those, the top 300 teenagers got selected for the zonal voting round. In the zonal voting, people gave you live votes, and the World Teen Parliament is very happy to share that the top 300 teenagers collectively secured 235,610 votes. From these 2.5 lakh votes, and on the basis of these votes, the top 100 teenagers today will become the members of parliament of the World Teen Parliament. The image that you saw on today's poster, those pillars, those 3 pillars that you see on today's poster, they hold a very important significance for global democracy. That's the Temple of Zeus, where it is said that the first structured parliament was held in Athens. So today, it's a similar occasion when you're trying to do a similar thing for the non-voting population of the world. The reason why we are working for you, one of the biggest reasons is we want to keep the platform absolutely apolitical. And that's a very easy way to do it, where we only focus on the generation that's not voting, because you are the people who can remain unbiased. Think beyond party lines, think beyond politics. You can think of real solutions. So let us start listening to these amazing people who have taken out the time today and are here with us to share their experience. Let me invite the first speaker for today, who in himself is doing a very similar duty and will be sharing his experience of a lifelong public figure. How does he maintain his composure, and how does he maintain an actual parliament or an actual legislative assembly in order? A very warm welcome to Dr. C.P. Joshi, who is the current speaker of the Rajasthan Legislative Assembly. Just a brief background about him. Previously, he was the Member of Parliament of India in the 15th Lok Sabha. He was one of the first 19 members of India's new cabinet sworn in on 22nd May 2009, despite being a first-time member of Lok Sabha. As a union minister, Joshi held key portfolios like road transport and highways and rural development and Panchayati Raj in the second Manmohan Singh ministry. Moreover, he's also a cabinet minister. He was also a cabinet minister of the government of Rajasthan from 1998 to 2003. Mohanlal Sukharia ji, the then chief minister of Rajasthan, recognized his social commitment and encouraged him into politics. He was elected as a student union president for the Mohanlal Sukharia University in the year 1973. He is a 5-time MLA and a 1-time MP, and right now is the Speaker of the Rajasthan Legislative Assembly. A very warm welcome to the Honourable Speaker of the Rajasthan Vidhan Sabha, Dr. C.P. Joshi. Sir, over to you. हम आपसे अगले कुछ समय में आपके संबोधन में इन सारे बच्चों के लिए, इन सारे सांसदों के लिए आपसे आपका एक्सपीरियंस, अनुभव जानना चाहेंगे कि इनको अपना कंडक्ट, ये जब अगले पूरे 1 साल तक इस संसद में काम करेंगे, अपने आइडिया शेयर करेंगे, एक दूसरे के साथ में मिलके काम करेंगे, इनको अपना कंडक्ट, अपना आचरण कैसा रखना चाहिए, और क्या-क्या चीजें आपको लगती हैं कि इनमें कौन-कौन सी वो वैल्यूज हैं जो कि बिल्ड होनी चाहिए. ओवर टू डॉक्टर सीपी जोशी. अ वेरी वार्म वेलकम सर.
विश्व किशोर संसद के सभी सांसदों को मेरी तरफ से बहुत बहुत मुबारकबाद. मैं आयोजकों को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं कि उन्होंने ये प्रयास किया, उसके लिए भी उनको बहुत बहुत साधुवाद. इस वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस से जुड़े हुए जितने भी व्यूअर्स हैं, जितने भी साथी हैं, उनको भी मैं बहुत बहुत मुबारकबाद देना चाहता हूँ. मैं सबसे पहले आप जो नए सांसद विश्व के युवा बने हैं, उनको अपना अनुभव बताना चाहता हूँ कि इस दुनिया में पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी जो है उसमें किस तरह के रूप में है. पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी ब्रिटेन में है, पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी इंडिया में है. पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी के अलावा भी प्रेसिडेंशियल डेमोक्रेसी है यूएसए के अंदर, और चाइना में एक अलग तरह की डेमोक्रेसी है. डेमोक्रेसी के विश्व में अलग अलग रूप हैं, पर भारत में जो हमने अडॉप्ट किया है वो पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी को हमने अडॉप्ट किया है. भारत की जो पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी है उसमें एक भाग है केंद्र, जिसमें केंद्र में अलग अलग प्रदेशों से सांसद चुनकर आते हैं और वो देश की नीति निर्माण करने का काम करते हैं. और इसी तरह से अलग अलग प्रदेश में विधानसभा के सदस्य चुनकर आते हैं और वो विधानसभा में अपने प्रदेश की विकास की भूमिका का निर्वहन करते हैं. और ठीक उसी तरह से गांव में सत्ता का विकेंद्रीकरण करके 73 और 74 अमेंडमेंट का बात करने के बाद पंचायती राज और लोकल सेल्फ गवर्नमेंट का भी डेमोक्रेसी में स्थान भारत में दिया गया है. इस तरह से राजस्थान में 3 टायर डेमोक्रेसी है. एक कैटर टू द नीड्स ऑफ विलेज एंड अर्बन एरियाज, second cater the needs of the states, and third cater the needs of the nation. पर ये सारी चीजें इस देश में संवैधानिक जो हमारी व्यवस्था उसके अंतर्गत है। इस देश में संविधान सर्वोपरि है और संविधान के अंतर्गत हमने ये एनविसेज किया है कि पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी में जो इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है, जो पार्लियामेंट और असेंबलीज है, उनको कानून बनाने का अधिकार है, नियम बनाने का अधिकार है, नीति बनाने का अधिकार है। एग्जीक्यूटिव जो काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर है वो उसको एग्जीक्यूट करती है और नियम और कानून को इंटरप्रेट करने का काम जुडिशरी का है। इसलिए पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी में जो 3 अंग हैं, ये विधायिका, न्यायपालिका और कार्यपालिका, इनमें ठीक ढंग का बैलेंस हो तो पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी प्रभावशाली ढंग से चलती है। और पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी में इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव कहां से आते हैं? इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव आते हैं डिफरेंट पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज से। डिफरेंट पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज अपनी विचारधारा के आधार पर जनता को अपनी बात कहती है और उनके चुने हुए प्रतिनिधि जिस पार्टी का बहुमत होता है उस पार्टी का नेता प्रधानमंत्री बनता है और प्रदेश में मुख्यमंत्री बनता है और पंचायतों में सरपंच, प्रधान और प्रमुख बनते हैं। पर ये जो इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है, उन इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव को भी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के शेड्यूल में पावर दे रखे हैं। शेड्यूल में कौन से विषय है जिस विषय पर भारत के संसद नियम और कानून बना सकती है। विधानसभा का जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में शेड्यूल है, उस शेड्यूल में बता रखा है कि विधानसभाएं कौन से नियम और कानून बनाने का काम कर सकती है। ठीक इसी प्रकार पंचायत को भी उन्होंने शेड्यूल में स्थान दिया हुआ है। और शेड्यूल के अंदर सब्जेक्ट कुछ ऐसे हैं जो कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट में आते हैं। कुछ सब्जेक्ट पर भारत सरकार भी कानून बना सकती है और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट भी कानून बना सकती है। इसलिए जो नए युवा सांसद हैं, उनको ये पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी की प्रीरिक्विजिट समझने की आवश्यकता है कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इसकी आत्मा है और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की आत्मा को लागू करने के लिए डिफरेंट पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के जो रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है वो इलेक्ट होकर अलग अलग अपनी भूमिका निर्वाह करके देश के निर्माण करने का काम करती है। हाउस जब कॉन्स्टिट्यूट हो जाता है, जब इस देश में हमने 545 पार्लियामेंट्री के मेंबर हैं, 545 पार्लियामेंट्री मेंबर डिलिमिटेशन कमीशन की जो पॉपुलेशन के उसके आधार पर इलेक्ट होते हैं। और पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी की ब्यूटी है, ईस्ट वेस्ट नॉर्थ साउथ अलग अलग भाषा धर्म जात को मानने वाले लोग भी अपना रिप्रेजेंटेटिव चुनाव भेजते हैं डिलिमिटेशन पॉपुलेशन के आधार पर। इसलिए 545 एमपीज में मेघालय का सांसद भी है, त्रिपुरा का सांसद भी है, केरल का सांसद भी है, महाराष्ट्र का सांसद भी है, उत्तर प्रदेश का सांसद भी है, राजस्थान का सांसद भी है। अलग अलग प्रदेश के चुने हुए प्रतिनिधि सांसद में सांसद चुनकर आते हैं और वो देश के नीति निर्माण करने का काम करते हैं। ठीक इसी प्रकार अलग अलग स्टेट्स में असेंबली का चुनाव होता है, उन असेंबली में भी अलग अलग क्षेत्र के लोग अब जो डिलिमिटेशन कमीशन के बाद जो पॉपुलेशन है उसके आधार पर वो विधायक चुनकर आते हैं। और ठीक इसी तरह की प्रणाली नीचे डिलिमिटेशन में पंचायत राज के अंतर्गत है। ये जो इलेक्टेड आदमी जीत कर आते हैं, उसके बाद हाउस में शपथ लेने के बाद हाउस का जो कंडक्ट है वो कंडक्ट करने का काम प्रिसाइडिंग ऑफिसर, जिसको लोकसभा में लोकसभा के स्पीकर कहते हैं, विधानसभा में विधानसभा का अध्यक्ष कहते हैं, ये उस हाउस को कंडक्ट करने का काम करते हैं। पर आप बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग बात मैं आपके साथ शेयर करना चाहता हूँ। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में विधायक जो चुनता है उसकी शपथ होती है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में मिनिस्टर बनता है उसकी शपथ होती है, पर जो हाउस चलाने वाला स्पीकर है, लोकसभा का स्पीकर या विधानसभा का स्पीकर, उसकी शपथ नहीं होती है। ये एक नई चीज है जिसको पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी में समझने की आवश्यकता है कि पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी में अध्यक्ष जो हाउस को चलाता है नियम और कानून के अंतर्गत, पार्लियामेंट्री रूल्स और रेगुलेशन बने हुए, अलग अलग विधानसभा के नियम और कानून बने हुए, लोकसभा के नियम और कानून बने हुए, उन नियम और कानून के अंतर्गत अध्यक्ष को हाउस को चलाने का काम करना पड़ता है। और हाउस को चलाने के लिए रूल्स और रेगुलेशन में अलग अलग व्यवस्था कर रखी है। सबसे पहले हाउस में जब गवर्नर हाउस को समन करते हैं तब बिजनेस एडवाइजर कमेटी में बैठकर अलग अलग पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के जो नेता है वो बैठकर हाउस का बिजनेस डिसाइड करते हैं। हाउस का बिजनेस डिसाइड होने के बाद हाउस जब असेंबल होता है रोज 11 बजे, जब हाउस असेंबल होता है तो 11 से 12 क्वेश्चन आवर होता है। क्वेश्चन आवर में जो चुने हुए जनप्रतिनिधि हैं वो सत्ता में जो सरकार के मंत्री हैं उनसे क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं। क्वेश्चन 2 तरह के होते हैं, एक क्वेश्चन होता है अनस्टार्ट क्वेश्चन और दूसरा होता है स्टार्ट क्वेश्चन। स्टार्ट क्वेश्चन का मतलब जो लिखित क्वेश्चन होता है, उस लिखित क्वेश्चन में संसद और विधायक अपना प्रश्न पूछते हैं और मंत्री को उनका जवाब देना पड़ता है और अध्यक्ष उस चीज को हाउस में कंडक्ट करता है। अनस्टार्ट क्वेश्चंस विधायक और सांसद जो मंगाते हैं उन अनस्टार्ट क्वेश्चन से उस विषय के बारे में जानकारी ली जा सकती है कि उन नियमों उस प्रश्न के संबंध में सरकार के क्या नीति है, सरकार ने क्या काम किया क्या नहीं किया, या किसी नीति के किस तरह का उसमें डेविएशन हुआ, उसकी जानकारी अनस्टार्ट क्वेश्चन में ली जा सकती है। एक तो है सबसे बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन आवर। क्वेश्चन आवर के बाद होता है जीरो आवर। जीरो आवर के अंदर हर एक विधानसभा के सदस्य और एमपी को अपने अपने क्षेत्र की समस्या का उठाने का भी अवसर मिलता है और देश की जो नीति और निर्माण करने में सरकार की कोई कमी है उसको भी पॉइंट आउट करने का उसका अवसर मिलता है। और उसके बाद इसमें अलग अलग प्रोविजन है, कॉल अटेंशन मोशन होता है, स्थगन प्रस्ताव होते हैं और फिर जो सरकार होती है वो अपना बिजनेस लाती है। जो बिल उन्होंने इंट्रोड्यूस किया वो बिल हाउस के अंदर आते हैं और उस बिल के अंदर डिस्कशन होता है और डिस्कशन और डिलिब्रेशन होने के बाद हाउस में वो बिल को पास किया जा सकता है, पास होता है। फिर उसमें गवर्नर और प्रेसिडेंट उसके ऊपर एसेंट देते हैं, वो कानून बन जाता है। कानून बनने के बाद कानून को इंटरप्रेट करने का काम जुडिशरी का है। कानून को बनाने का काम संसद तो विधानसभा का है, लेकिन कानून को इंटरप्रेट करने का काम जुडिशरी का है। एग्जीक्यूटिव का काम है उनको नीति बनाकर लागू करने का काम। तो सबसे पहले सांसद बनने के लिए सबसे बड़ी आवश्यकता इस बात की है, हम इस प्रोसीजर को ठीक ढंग से समझें, कैसे इस प्रोसीजर के अंदर हम अपनी जन समस्याओं को उठा सकें और कैसे सरकार जो सत्ता में है उनकी नीति और वृत्ति में यदि कमी है उसको पॉइंट आउट कर जनता के सामने उनको ला सकें। ये भूमिका निर्माण करने के लिए या तो आप रूलिंग पार्टी के ट्रेजरी के मेंबर इलेक्ट होते हैं जिसकी सत्ता बनती है, या अपोजिशन के मेंबर सदस्य बनते हैं जो सत्ता के अंदर अपनी मेजोरिटी के कारण नहीं आते हैं। इसलिए सबसे पहले सांसद के रूप में मैं जो हमारे किशोर है उनसे अपने निवेदन करना चाहता हूँ, सबसे पहले पार्लियामेंट्री प्रैक्टिसेस के जो नियम और कानून है उसके बारे में जानकारी लेना बहुत आवश्यक है। लेकिन इससे भी बड़ी आवश्यकता इस बात की है, पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी की दूसरी सबसे बड़ी प्रीरिक्विजिट है पार्टी। पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज को जो रीति नीतियां हैं उस पॉलिटिकल पार्टी की रीति नीति के आधार पर जनमत को आपको प्रभावित करना पड़ता है और जनमत को प्रभावित करने के बाद हर 5 साल में वोट पड़ता है, उस वोट के आधार पर आपको सत्ता में आकर नीति बनाने का काम करना पड़ता है। अब इस देश में जो हमारे देश में डेमोक्रेसी प्रारंभ हुई, वो डेमोक्रेसी को ठीक ढंग से हम इंटरप्रेट करें तो जब आजादी के बाद हमारी डेमोक्रेसी स्टार्ट हुई 1952 में पहला चुनाव हुआ, उस समय इस देश में पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी में प्रिंट मीडिया की भूमिका कम थी, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया कम थी, पर जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर बने हुए थे उनकी पर्सनालिटी, उनका व्यक्तित्व इतना बड़ा था। उन व्यक्तित्व के कारण जो संसद में परंपराएं बनी, उन परंपराओं के कारण आज हाउस रूल्स और रेगुलेशन से भी चलता है और परंपराओं के आधार भी चलता है। मुझे कहते हुए प्रसन्नता है कि हिंदुस्तान के अंदर हमने इस देश में पार्लियामेंट्री प्रैक्टिसेस के आधार पर इस तरह की हमने प्रैक्टिसेस अडॉप्ट की और जिनको फॉलो किया जो आज इस देश में लोकतंत्र को मजबूत करने का काम कर रही है। एक तो सबसे बड़ी आवश्यकता इस बात की है, पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज की जानकारी होने का हमें बहुत, उसकी रीति नीति के बारे में जब कमिटेड नहीं है तो हम उस पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के सही प्रतिनिधि के रूप में अपनी भूमिका का निर्माण नहीं कर सकते। तो सबसे पहले आप जिस पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के साथ जुड़ना चाहते हैं उसकी रीति नीति के बारे में अपने साथ जुड़े और जुड़ने के बाद उसमें कमिटमेंट के बाद पार्टी का जो कार्यक्रम है उस कार्यक्रम में भागीदारी लेकर आगे बढ़ने का काम करें। ये पार्टी के कार्यकर्ता के रूप में इसलिए आवश्यक है कि इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव को जो नॉमिनेशन है वो नॉमिनेशन पार्टी करती है। सांसद का चुनाव होता है, पार्टी का उम्मीदवार बनता है, ये फैसला पार्टी का हाईकमांड है वो करता है। देश में अलग अलग राजनीतिक पार्टियां हैं, कांग्रेस पार्टी है, भारतीय जनता पार्टी है, वहां पर हमारे सीपीएम की पार्टियां, रीजनल पार्टियां, रीजनल पार्टीज और जो नेशनल पार्टी है वो अपने अपने प्रतिनिधि का नॉमिनेशन करती है। उस नॉमिनेशन के आधार पर जनता वोट डालती है। इसलिए सबसे बड़ी आवश्यकता है कि हम जिस पार्टी के साथ जुड़ना चाहते हैं उस पार्टी की आइडियोलॉजी के साथ अपने आप को समर्पित करें, जिससे हम आगे उस पार्टी की भूमिका का सदस्य बनने के बाद अपनी भूमिका का ठीक ढंग से निर्माण कर सकें। ये एक सबसे बड़ी आवश्यकता है। मैंने जैसा उदाहरण दिया कि जब हमारे यहाँ जब आजादी के बाद प्रधानमंत्री बने, उनकी पर्सनालिटी इतनी डोमिनेंट थी कि उनके व्यवहार से संसद की गरिमा और उसकी निर्णय करने का काम किया। इसलिए पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी में कोडिफिकेशन नहीं है, ये प्रिविलेज है हाउस के अंदर। हाउस के अंदर जो विधानसभा का सदस्य और लोकसभा का सदस्य जो डेलिब्रेशन करता है उस डेलिब्रेशन को कोर्ट के अंदर चैलेंज नहीं किया जा सकता। इसलिए सबसे बड़ी आवश्यकता है कि जब हम पर ये जिम्मेदारी संसदीय लोकतंत्र के अंतर्गत है कि हम अपनी वाद विवाद के अंतर्गत सदन में जो चर्चा करते हैं उसको कोर्ट में डिसाइड नहीं किया सकता है, तो हमें गरिमा पूर्वक अपनी बात रखने का ज्ञान होना चाहिए और नॉलेज होना चाहिए जिससे हम प्रभावशाली ढंग से अपनी बात को वहां रख सकें। तो नॉलेज इज प्री रिक्विजिट टू बी इफेक्टिव पार्लियामेंटेरियन। यदि आप इफेक्टिव पार्लियामेंटेरियन बनना चाहते हैं तो आपको ज्ञान होना चाहिए, जो नियम और कानून है उसके संबंध में जानकारी होनी चाहिए और तब जाकर आप प्रभावशाली ढंग से अपनी भूमिका का निर्वहन कर सकते हैं। इसलिए हमने पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी में कोडिफिकेशन नहीं किया। हर प्रोफेशन में आचार संहिता है, पर पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी में डिजायरेबल है कि पार्लियामेंटेरियन जो है वो इस तरह का व्यवहार करेगा, पर एसेंशियल जो उसमें कोडिफिकेशन है वो पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी में नहीं हुआ है। और ये ब्रिटेन के अंदर भी देखा गया कि वहां पर भी लंबे समय तक इस तरह की स्थितियां बनी, फिर वहां कमेटी बनी और कोडिफिकेशन करने का काम किया। लेकिन हिंदुस्तान की पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी में अभी प्रयास किए गए स्पीकर्स की कॉन्फ्रेंस में समय समय पर उन्होंने निर्णय भी लिया कि हम इस तरह का व्यवहार अपेक्षित करते हैं चुने हुए जनप्रतिनिधि के, लेकिन उन अपेक्षित व्यवहार का आज दिन तक अभी हम ठीक ढंग से उसको लागू नहीं कर पा रहे। जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल सब स्पीकर्स की कॉन्फ्रेंस में फैसला किया गया कि जो वेल होता है, जिस वेल के अंतर्गत कोई भी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी का व्यक्ति आकर प्रोटेस्ट नहीं करेगा, प्रोटेस्ट करेगा तो वो सू मोटो उस दिन के लिए डिबार हो जाएगा। अब ये हमने निर्णय तो कर लिया स्पीकर की कॉन्फ्रेंस में, पर हम देखते हैं कि सदन के अंतर्गत जो सदन का सदस्यों का व्यवहार है, वो सदस्यों का व्यवहार इन नियमों के जो स्पीकर की कॉन्फ्रेंस में फैसला हुआ इसके विपरीत उनका व्यवहार हो रहा है। इसलिए हम देखते हैं कि पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी में जहां गरिमापूर्ण सदन के सदस्यों का व्यवहार होना चाहिए, उस व्यवहार नहीं होने के कारण कभी कभी कठिन निर्णय स्पीकर को लेना पड़ता है। हाउस में सदन के सदस्यों को एक्सपेल करना पड़ता है। एक्सपेल करके उनसे आशा की जाती है कि सदन की जो नियम और कानून है उनके अंतर्गत वो अपना व्यवहार करेंगे। डेमोक्रेसी में, पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी में डिबेट, डिस्कशन और डिसेंट ये सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है। आप वहां डिबेट होती है, डिस्कशन होता है, डिसेंट भी होता है और फिर मेजोरिटी का निर्णय होता है और निर्णय को मानने का काम सब करते हैं। तो सबसे बड़ी आवश्यकता है कि हम पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी की इस बात को समझें, वो सदन नहीं है जहां हम एक दूसरे के खिलाफ वायलेंस करें, वो सदन वहां नहीं है जहां हम अपना गरिमापूर्ण व्यवहार नहीं करें। सदन वो जगह है जहां पर हम डिबेट, डिस्कस और डिसेंट होकर अपनी बात को रख सकते हैं और रखने के बाद उसका जो निर्णय होता है उस निर्णय को मानने का काम सभी सदस्यों को करना चाहिए और यही लोकतंत्र की सबसे बड़ी ताकत है। इसलिए मैं आशा करता हूं कि जो हमारे नए पार्लियामेंट्री मेंबर हैं उनको एक बात को समझने की जरूरत है। फिर दूसरा, एक नया जो दुनिया जो बदल रही है उसको भी इथिक्स के संबंध में समझना चाहिए। जैसे मैंने कहा, पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू या उस समय के जो विरोधी पक्ष के नेता थे, उन्होंने जो पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी में जो मापदंड परंपराएं स्थापित की, वो परंपराएं आज भी अनुकरणीय है। इसलिए बहुत सी विधानसभाओं में परंपराओं का भी हम निर्णय करते समय फैसला करते हैं। उस समय प्रिंट मीडिया की भूमिका लिमिटेड थी, पर जैसे जैसे प्रिंट मीडिया की भूमिका बढ़ती गई वैसे वैसे पार्लियामेंटेरियन के बिहेवियर में भी अंतर आने लग गया। और पहले एक जमाना था जब चुना पार्टी का नेता पूरे देश में घूमता था, अपनी बात कहता था और लाउड स्पीकर और कम्युनिकेशन के माध्यम से जनता को उस पार्टी की जानकारी, उसकी नीति रीति की जानकारी मिलती थी। आज सबसे बड़ी चुनौती है, आज हमारे पास इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया, यूट्यूब और इस तरह की सुविधाएं उपलब्ध हो गई है जो सतत सदस्य की अपनी प्राइवेट और पब्लिक लाइफ को विजिट नोट करते हुए व्यवहार को। इसलिए आज की डेट में जो नए सांसद हैं, हमारे किशोर सांसद हैं, उनको ये समझने की आवश्यकता है कि आप पूरा का पूरा आपका व्यवहार, व्यक्तिगत व्यवहार, पब्लिक व्यवहार, सारा का सारा पब्लिक स्क्रूटनी के अंतर्गत। कोई भी यूट्यूब में आपके बारे में चीजों को पब्लिश कर सकता है। इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया अपनी टीआरपी के आधार पर संसद के सदस्यों की जो है भूमिका उसको निर्धारण कर रहा है। कोई सेंसिबल डिबेट हो उसका कितना रिपोर्टिंग होता है और जो डेविएंट बिहेवियर है उसका कितना रिपोर्टिंग होता है। इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया भी अब पार्लियामेंटेरियन के इथिक्स को प्रभावित करने लग गया है। मैं नहीं समझता कि जब दुनिया बदल रही है, आने वाले समय में जैसे आईटी का इम्पैक्ट आ रहा है, वर्चुअल हम मीटिंग कर रहे हैं, हम क्यों नहीं कल्पना कर रहे हैं कि वर्चुअल असेंबली होगी, हम क्यों नहीं कल्पना कर रहे हैं कि वर्चुअल पार्लियामेंट होगी। यदि वर्चुअल पार्लियामेंट और वर्चुअल असेंबली होगी तो चुने हुए प्रतिनिधि की भूमिका भी डिफरेंट होगी, जो हाउस कंडक्ट कर रहा है उसकी भूमिका भी डिफरेंट होगी। और इस महामारी ने बता दिया है कि जीवन में हर जगह जो परिवर्तन हो रहा है उस परिवर्तन को भी हमें इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव को समझने की आवश्यकता है। इसलिए जो हमारे 3 एमपीज हैं उनको मैं कहना चाहता हूं कि दुनिया के इस बदलाव को अपने आप को तैयार करने की आवश्यकता है। ये जो पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी के जो हमारे पुराने अनुभव है, ये हमें भविष्य के बारे में हमें इस बात को लिए प्रेरित करते हैं कि आने वाली चुनौतियों के लिए हम अपना व्यवहार कैसा करना चाहते हैं। हमारा व्यवहार व्यक्तिगत रूप में कैसा होना चाहिए, हमारा व्यवहार इंस्टीट्यूशन में कैसा होना चाहिए, और हम सबका कमिटमेंट जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है उस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में जो भूमिका निर्वहन करने का हमें जो अवसर मिला है चुने हुए प्रतिनिधि के रूप में, उसको कैसे हम कर सके, उसके संबंध में अब दबाव ज्यादा बने। और सबसे बड़ी चुनौती जो 3 एमपी के सामने है वो फ्यूचर के बारे में। किसी ने कल्पना ही नहीं की थी कि आईटी का इतना बड़ा इम्पैक्ट जीवन के अंदर आएगा, और आईटी का इम्पैक्ट आने के बाद जो नियम और कानून है उसमें किस तरह का परिवर्तन होगा। आज एक आदमी बैठकर हिंदुस्तान के एक कोने से लगाकर दुनिया के किसी कोने के साथ अपनी बात कह सकता है। मैं आपके माध्यम से आज दुनिया के सारे नौजवान जितने भी हैं, किशोर साथी, उनसे बात कर रहा हूँ। पर ये किशोर सांसद हैं वो कन्फाइन देश के अंदर नहीं है, वो ग्लोबल उनकी प्रेजेंस है। इसलिए चुनौती आने वाले समय में नियम और कानून बनाने के संबंध में वो हम ज्यादा अपेक्षा करते हैं कि दुनिया के बदलाव में जो हमारा 3 MPs है उसके पास जानकारी ज्यादा है, नॉलेज ज्यादा है, एक्सपोजर ज्यादा है, और एक्सपोजर जाने के बाद फ्यूचर की समस्याओं का निराकरण करने के लिए, उनको नीति बनाने के लिए भी उनकी भूमिका का बहुत बड़ा निर्माण करने की आवश्यकता है। क्योंकि आज जो चुनौती है, महामारी की चुनौती, उसकी कल्पना 10 साल 15 साल पहले नहीं की। किसी पार्लियामेंट में डिस्कस नहीं हुआ कि महामारी का मुकाबला कैसे करेंगे। किसी पार्लियामेंट में डिस्कस नहीं हुआ कि एजुकेशन जो ऑनलाइन और ऑफलाइन हो रही है उसमें जो सोशल डिवाइड खड़ा हो रहा है, उस सोशल डिवाइड को खत्म करने के लिए हम शिक्षा नीति में क्या परिवर्तन करेंगे। यदि ये 3 जो हमारे जितने भी MPs हैं, ये फ्यूचर के इन चैलेंजेस को एंटिसिपेट कर भविष्य में और कैसे परिवर्तन हो रहे हैं उनको समझकर यदि नियम और कानून बनाएंगे तो मैं समझता हूँ कि विश्व में जो हम दुनिया को बदलने का काम कर रहे हैं वो पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी के माध्यम से बहुत प्रभावशाली ढंग से कर सकेंगे। मैं अधिक समय नहीं लेना चाहता, लेकिन मैं एक बार पुनः आयोजकों को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ। और जो हमारे किशोर सांसद जो रिगरस मेथड से चुनकर आए, हम तो इलेक्ट होकर आए हैं, पर ये भी है किसी प्रोसेस से इलेक्ट होकर आए, उनको मैं साधुवाद देना चाहता हूँ, उनके उज्जवल भविष्य की कामना करता हूँ। और मैं आशा करता हूँ कि ये जो सांसद के रूप में दुनिया का जो बदलाव हो रहा है, दुनिया में अलग अलग जगह की अलग अलग प्रॉब्लम है, वायलेंस हो रही है, असामाजिक जिस तरह की स्थितियां पैदा हो गई है, महामारी पैदा हो गई है, दुनिया में लोकतांत्रिक माध्यम से हम दुनिया को आगे बढ़ाने की कल्पना कर सकते हैं, या दुनिया में धर्म की जो हेट्रेड है उसको कैसे रोक सकें, ग्लोबल लेवल पर पर्यावरण के संबंध में हम क्या चिंतन कर सकें, दुनिया में एजुकेशन का इम्पैक्ट सोसाइटी पर क्या होगा, IT का अनुभव क्या होगा, और आने वाले समय में आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस इनसे या किस तरह से चीजों को प्रभावित करेगा। इन सब संबंध में नौजवान पीढ़ी के जो सांसद है उसको सोचना चाहिए और ऐसे विश्व की कल्पना करनी चाहिए जिस विश्व में सुख, शांति, समृद्धि हो, शांति हो, और हम सब मिलकर एक ऐसे विश्व की कल्पना कर सकें जिस विश्व में लोग शांति के साथ रह सकें, आगे बढ़ सकें और दुनिया के बदलाव में अपनी भूमिका निर्माण कर सकें। मैं आशा करता हूं कि ये जो हमारे 103 MPs हैं इस भूमिका का प्रभावशाली ढंग से निर्माण करेंगे। इन्हीं सब शब्दों के साथ एक बार मैं उन सबके उज्जवल भविष्य की कामना करता हूं और वर्चुअल माध्यम से जो भी जुड़े हैं उन सबको बहुत बहुत साधुवाद देता हूं। और मैं अपने आप को सौभाग्यशाली मानता हूं कि वर्ल्ड की टीनेज की पहली पार्लियामेंट में मुझे पहले स्पीकर के रूप में आपने बोलने का अवसर दिया, उसके लिए भी मैं व्यक्तिगत तौर पर आप सबका बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। धन्यवाद, नमस्कार।
Thank you so much, Dr. C.P. Joshi, for setting the context of this parliament. You very well articulated that how does the parliamentary system within India works? How have we established the different parliaments within this such a big democracy, and I think one of the biggest parliamentary democracies in the world. So all the teen MPs who are here with us, you can put your questions to Dr. C.P. Joshi at this moment, but we'll be sharing the questions after we hear all the 3 speakers. Let me invite the next speaker for today. Before I invite the next speaker, the World Teen Parliament is a parliament of action, is a flat parliament. Here, there will be no ministers, there will be no prime ministers. The focus of this parliament is action, because you do not have the authority to create rules, you do not have the authority to create laws, but you have the authority to take action. So the World Teen Parliament, with your help throughout this year, will be working on your ideas, on your solutions that you've given, and we'll try to make them into actionable policies that could be proposed to different houses across the world. In the next 1 year, when all of you come together and work on your solutions, let's hope we are at least able to propose 10 to 15 amazing solutions that we test out, that we pilot out, and that we can then propose to the people in power to put them into action, to make them into laws, and finally let the executive work on it. But thank you so much, Dr. C.P. Joshi, for giving us such an elaborate view of how does a parliamentary democracy really work. And I think a very important element within your speech, which you shared, was as a parliamentarian, the first and the most essential element is your knowledge. So keep reading a lot, people, keep listening a lot, because without knowledge, you won't be able to serve the purpose of being a member of parliament. Thank you so much, Dr. C.P. Joshi. Let me invite the next speaker for today to share their ideas on how can you, teenagers, influence global policies. If you do something, how can that small little effort really affect a policy at global level? A very warm welcome to Dr. Dhuwarakha Sriram. She is the Chief of Generation Unlimited YuWaah, Youth Development and Partnerships. Dhuwarakha is a national of Sri Lanka and an international development expert with more than 19 years of experience in strategic planning and programming experience with UNICEF and UNHCR in the area of adolescent, youth development and participation, gender and child protection. As the Chief of Generation Unlimited, Youth Developments and Partnerships with UNICEF India, she currently leads and coordinates one of the largest initiatives with and for young people on learning, skilling, employment, youth innovation, and civic engagement with support from public and private sector partners. She has previously worked with UNICEF Regional Office at West and Central Africa and in Sierra Leone, where she managed the programs on child protection and adolescents, including the support to the Ebola response. Prior to this, she worked in Afghanistan and Sri Lanka with UNICEF and UNHCR, and she was involved in design and implementation of child protection and education programs in complex emergency settings, including the tsunami response in 2004-05. She has also worked as a research fellow with University of Melbourne in 2007. She holds masters in law from University of London, leadership courses from University of Melbourne and INSEAD, and bachelor's in business administration from Curtin University of Technology, Australia. A very warm welcome, Ms. Dhuwarakha Sriram. Over to you to inspire these teenagers on how can they influence global policies. A very warm welcome.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Today, I'm really delighted to present my thoughts on a topic which we at YuWaah Generation Unlimited in India, UNICEF, and the entire United Nations family feel is incredibly important. This is the potential of young people to change the world, and how, by actively working with them, we have an enormous opportunity to transform the future and the current of not only India, but the globe as well. More specifically, I'll be talking about how young leaders like you can influence the global policies. But first, my greetings to all the young leaders present here today. Congratulations to Blub World and the organization team of the World Teen Parliament. And a big warm welcome to the 100 teen MPs selected from across the world through rigorous selection process. So many congratulations to you on achieving this big milestone. Now, throughout history, young people have driven change, whether it's about taking the lead in tackling the climate change, improving the state of health and education, or defending the human rights across the world. When young people are empowered, you catalyze the change. Each month, millions of young people are looking for economic opportunities and aspiring to create a difference. The world is changing, and so are the needs and aspirations of our young population. Many are still unfortunately excluded from education, training, and employment, especially women, as well as young people with disabilities. Our surveys have shown that young people in India and globally want to be engaged as citizens. They want the skills and opportunities to be at the core of the economic and social development policies. They do not want to be in any specific pre-decided careers and trajectories. Instead, they want to forge their own paths. Now let's imagine of us all coming together and effectively changing this narrative. Instead of being unemployed or in jobs where you are feeling underemployed, what if young people's aspirations could really fuel your careers? Instead of focusing on conventional learning, what if we, together with young people, provide the relevant skills and guidance essential for work and life in 21st century? Instead of defining your role in society, what if we create spaces to innovate and lead social action and influence the local and global policies? Let's reimagine an ecosystem where you are at the center, so we can listen and amplify the needs and aspirations of young people, identify and scale relevant and diverse solutions that can help all other young people across the country and world to find suitable opportunities and reshape as young change makers. Mainstream the youth-centered actions by mobilizing 360-degree partnership opportunities for stakeholders such as the government, UN, industry aggregators, private sector, philanthropies, civil society organizations, locally as well as globally. Now let me talk about the intersection of policies and young people. As I said, adolescents, more than about 1.2 billion young people today, make up more than 16% of the world's population. More than half of all those adolescents globally live in Asia, mostly in developing countries. You are the biggest hope any country has for the current and future economic and social program. Nurturing your leadership and providing spaces to voice is the best investment any country or partner can make. In fact, the social return on investment in interventions targeting young people is 2 to 4 times. For example, investing in education and training increases an individual's lifetime earnings, life expectancy, and well-being. There's a 16% average yearly return on investment for each additional year of secondary education. So the evidence is clear. Effective integration of young people in the development processes, giving them a seat at the decision-making table, requires dedication, will, and commitment from both sides. You can and must be indispensable partners in developing policies aimed at you, right from the conceptualization and planning stage to the operationalization and implementation. If not for you as young people, who else is in a better position to understand what you and your peers need? If not for you, who is better placed to ensure the implementation in broader networks that are often inaccessible to policymakers? Thus, you are one of the most critical stakeholders in any country's progress. And as a result, the question to ask is not what can we do for them or what can they do for us, but what can we do together as equal partners? So what's next? Let's reach out and make some space. And here's how we can start. There are 3 points I want to share with you. One is to enable your active citizenship, equipping yourselves with the right and updated information as the previous speaker spoke about. The skills and tools to identify, empathize, investigate, and act on local level issues is a great way not only for you, but for your peers to innovate and take action, but also nurture the partnerships required to take those actions and become leaders of today. Let me give an example about how young people influence policies and programs around COVID-19. One of the most significant outcomes is the role young leaders played in not only fighting COVID-19, but addressing the related impact as well. Mass media and social media flooded with positive stories of youth innovation and leadership during the pandemic. It is the young people who have been at the forefront, whether it's developing technological solutions, helping people on the ground with essential services, or simply asking people to follow the COVID-appropriate behavior. Young people have been leading action in protecting the rights of the most marginalized groups and acting as counselors of their peers, facilitating safe spaces for other young people. This has truly brought about changes in how government and communities are giving the space and opportunities for young people to speak up and take action as equal partners on the development agenda, including the policies. Second is about having intergenerational governance and leadership spaces. Your participation has to be mainstreamed in the local as well as global policy, programming, and decision-making through equal footing platforms to guide the programs and interventions that are targeted at you. You can help identify the right issues as well as assist in the implementation. I just want to give you 3 examples from India because I'm currently working here. Nalini, a young girl, together with her peers, took action at community level to stop her child marriage in their community through influencing the local governance policies to become a child marriage-free panchayat and advocated for budgets in the local governance planning to support the education of young girls and boys in their communities. Raju, a boy from Maharashtra, supported younger children who were separated from their parents due to the seasonal migration, this is for sugarcane, by getting communities to come together to support them to continue their education. He also influenced the state policies together with his peers and programs to support these young children and also engage the private sector through their CSR to support them. Third, from my own experience, as a Generation Unlimited, work with young leaders in our governance mechanism, including our advisory board. These kind of intergenerational spaces provide areas to co-create priorities, annual plans, and interventions, which has then helped young people influence the local policies and national policies in a more relevant, meaningful, and trustworthy mechanism. Third, to advance and protect your rights, but also for those who are most marginalized. You need to advocate for a robust safeguarding system that raises young people's consciousness and confidence to raise your voice and demand accountability. While it's vital for policymakers and other stakeholders to engage young people, the responsibility also lies with young people and youth-led organizations to bring your involvement to the next level by establishing yourselves as credible and sustainable partners. Being accountable is the first step in establishing this credibility. You need to ask yourself some questions. Now, I also ask myself these questions as well. What do I know about the issues that affect me, my family, my peers, also at the world at large? How can I help? Are there ways in our everyday lives and in our workplaces that we can support each other? What do I need to learn more and understand from the ecosystem? Who are the other people who can influence and support me and my peers in taking those actions? Motivated young people are also asking what they can do to help other young people who are less privileged than them, and I find that the most inspiring. I just want to say finally that Generation Unlimited, which is called YuWaah in India, is an ambitious public-private youth partnership platform with long-term goals to engage young people as leaders, equip them with the right skills and information, and providing them pathways to jobs and entrepreneurship. That means that we must all commit to listen to the voices and views of young people and help you learn and grow while also committing to working together for a healthier, safer, and gender equal world. To all the young women and men who are listening into this conversation, whatever your situation is socially, economically, or geographically, the future and the current situation of this world belongs to you. So think big, be bold, and get ready to build and lead your own agenda. It's your time to thrive. I say that your generation is one that has the most potential to bring about the positive change for this 21st century skills, to spark innovation, economic growth, and create jobs for today and tomorrow. You can make the world a better place for everyone, including people from the most marginalized groups and remote areas. Government, private sector, civil society, academia, startups, innovators, media, philanthropies are standing with you, ready to invest in ideas and solutions to support you. And finally, to those partners and stakeholders who are listening in, my message is just as clear. The time to support and nurture young people is now. The need is urgent. How we meet the needs and aspirations of young people will define our common future. The time to act is now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dhuwarakha Sriram, for giving the teenagers the exact purview of how can they really impact policies globally. So all the teen MPs who are here, we are trying to put together 3 elements in this discussion or in this masterclass that we are hosting for all of you. The first element was of ethics. How do you need to keep your conduct? The second is of influence. How can you influence policies? And third, and the most important element that normally guides the most of human race, let's talk about money. So we have the third individual who will be typically sharing his experience that how does economics, how does money influence parliaments, parliamentary ethics, and parliamentary influence at the same time, and how does this tool become a tool for you or you become a tool for it. So a very warm welcome to Mr. Purushottam Kaushik, the head of the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, India at the World Economic Forum. The center focuses on role of 4 IR technologies in agriculture, healthcare, education, smart cities, and circular economy. He has a BE in production engineering from Punjab Engineering College, Chandigarh, India, and an MBA from Faculty of Management Studies from Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. He has 26 years of experience in telecom and IT. He has worked in various telecom companies in a very long spanning role of leadership, in a very long spanning enriched career life. From 2009 to 2016, he was at Cisco Systems India and performed as their managing director from 2014 to 2016. He currently is also on the board of directors for Bhopal Smart City. A very warm welcome, Mr. Purushottam Kaushik. Over to you to talk about economics for these teen MPs and how does it impact their role in the next coming 1 year. Over to you, sir, and a very warm welcome.
Thank you, Daksh. Thank you so much. And many, many congratulations to you all young leaders. And I was, when Daksh was talking about the number of votes which were put in, like 200,000, 250,000, and 100 of you, possibly each of you got maybe more than 2,500 votes on average. So that itself is like a sign of like you are already leaders, and considering that whatever community that you have been working with in your fellow students, I think that demonstrates the power that you already have within yourself. Now, when I was thinking about because I don't really normally talk to, or I don't get an opportunity to talk to some young leaders like you. Mostly have been like corporate CEOs and organizations who possibly bring in a very different kind of experience and understanding of systems. or maybe somewhere where we kind of connect with government and other industry stakeholders. And I was not very sure what to talk about, because then I started looking back and thinking about like, okay, my son who is crossed the teenage and my daughter who is still in teenage, what would they look like thinking about? And then I remembered one lesson where one of my team members was telling me that whenever you speak to someone younger, never think that they are the young, because by the time we have grown up, the whole maturity level has gone to a different level. So I'm not going to be treating you like real teenagers. You have already demonstrated where you are right now, and what I would possibly look at you as how can you really deliver value to the society as leaders. And Mr. C.P. Joshi, like huge respect for him. He has been like, he really gave you insights of how a parliament looks like, what are the various processes. And Dhuwarakha, who was so exciting, really must have ignited you through ideas of how policy and youth can sit together and you can change the world. For me, I am looking at, like, I don't know how many of you know World Economic Forum. World Economic Forum is an institution which has been there for 50 years and mainly working across the whole stakeholders ecosystem. Few of you may be knowing about Davos, where like everybody converges and nice snow-clad mountains and valleys, but then that's only the picture of what forum possibly maybe people remember it. But then it is a kind of an organization where it brings governments, industries, and startup ecosystem, a lot of civil society members, and the most important, a lot of youth representing communities. And we all come together under different maybe kind of stakeholder session, different groups. And it is so much representative of few hundred, as it has 100 people, which we think you're going to be kind of looking at achieving it together. Now, one thing when I can possibly relate to you is that before, and as Daksh was telling, that my earlier roles have been into business leadership or corporate roles. And I was so much driven by business and numbers and kind of how possibly we can really maybe do well as an organization. And I'm sure like you will be joining in, a lot of you will be joining in corporate organizations, and the world becomes a bit narrow. You only think about like what is going to happen this week and what is going to happen this month, and then possibly it's not like it's a wider, but this is an amazing opportunity that you're getting for the next 1 year, where you can think wider, you can think larger as a vision. So that's something which when I joined in Forum 2 years back, I realized the power of community, the power of leadership, and how the power of everyone can come together. And Dhuwarakha, whom we have been working in UNICEF in another initiative on education, I think she will, the ideas that she gave you, and it all comes from heart now. So practically what we are observing, the last 2 years have been really bad, really tragic in terms of especially education. Most of you sitting in home doing classes and not able to meet your friends in person, or not able to kind of do a real kind of that. And these 2 years are not going to possibly come back in your life, but then there are a lot of learnings behind this, and that's where you should be possibly focusing. Maybe what I'll also do is that I'll share with you some slides which possibly could be only directing and giving you ideas. They don't get hassled by what what the content, but just go by and think about your own level. So when I look at the Parliament of future and the way Mr. Joshi has been driving the whole sessions, and in a real Parliament where you see the setting as the speaker in the center and everyone around, I see slightly when 100 of you are going to be spending time in next 1 year, I look at you more like getting together and then trying to make things work. So for you, you can imagine a different Parliament. You can think about like how possibly it look like. Within World Economic Forum, we have a community called Global Shapers, and it's a community of young leaders all across the world. We have 150 odd countries which we operate in, 425 odd cities, which are called city hubs. and more than 12,000 global shapers who have been associated with this program, and they operate like almost like in city hubs, so like Bangalore or Pune or Mumbai or Delhi. So all these cities have their respective hubs, and they all come together, they work together, and as a power of youth and community. Now, where I would rather leave you with some thoughts, which possibly you should kind of deliberate, think about, because these are the ideas which are now evolving all across our meetings, our discussions, and this is coming in. For more details, you can even refer to our report on Global Shapers Impact Report. But then the two things which are important here is the collective impact or the community impact. So now, since you are already representing and you have a responsibility for maybe possibly taking it to the next level, you together, one very critical part has been protecting the planet. And you would have all seen Glasgow, and maybe you will have your own views, or like possibly there are some part of it is pictures, but some part of it is reality, what you can do for that. Like it's always going to be a discussion where like it's fine, people are not doing enough, organizations like possibly there is so much fuel burning, there's so much happening, but then beside that, what you as a community can do it. Like I can maybe possibly talk about some of the city hubs initiatives which have been done. Our Bangalore hub, where a few smart leaders like yours had launched an initiative where you see this mask which is all across now, lying in the road, lying on the stairs, lying everywhere. This is a big challenge, and they came up with all this reusable mask with a very, and then they worked on that, and they also served to some of the community which was needing it, deserving it, providing those reusable masks to almost like 400,000 people in Bangalore. And it's an initiative which possibly, as a maybe in terms of numbers, it may just look like a few thousands, but then realize the impact of how it finally takes as a momentum. The other one, which is very big one, was that how do you trigger two-wheel, or it was called Two-Wheel Tuesdays. Now, working and maybe creating and working with various industries and organizations that can you drive or can you ride to the office instead of like your bikes and scooters and like all fuel burning things. Pretty amazing initiative. Another one was more around looking at how can you like free pop-up clothes stores. Now all of you have, like, maybe I don't know, at least in my situation, I have not touched the 90% of my wardrobe for maybe more than 3 years or 2 years. It's just lying there. It's like I don't know, and there's a habit that almost like 10% of your clothes you will keep wearing again and again, because you like them, it fits you well and whatever. But the remaining ones maybe make it usable for people who possibly need it. And there are some of these initiatives which doesn't really cost much, but it just needs an effort and a collective effort. Make it like any of those possibly people who need some of this help can maybe come over and then pick up and collect those clothes. Then the other one, which for sure need to happen, is a climate debates. Like for sure, you need to kind of discuss constructive ideas of what can be done about it. Like maybe one of the initiatives which I have always been thinking is, can you not all develop a My Carbon kind of an app? Or maybe at least look at what is it that I am kind of spending as in clothes, I am spending on maybe possibly vehicular or maybe burning fuel, or maybe how much I burn on electricity in terms of like my washing clothes or vacuum or heater or whatever I'm using. So just look at your own carbon footprint and then see what it means for the larger community. So something like this, I was maybe possibly I'll just leave some ideas with you. The other big wave which is happening is on the reskilling part of it. Now, if you can read some of the reports like Future Jobs, and also now look at the background, Mr. Joshi was describing you that the last 2 years, so much digital happened. People may not have realized it's like gone tremendous pace up. Just look at the power of digital money and just look at the power of e-commerce. And some of this is more like, I would say, was bound to happen. But then I can give you an example. There is a big TCS office just next to my house. They had established it just before COVID, 35,000 people capacity. And I don't think the plan moving ahead of fully equipping 35,000 people of TCS in this office is going to work out anytime soon. So it's a work from home. It's everything is changing now in this world. Now reskilling is going to be one of the biggest focus because the future jobs are going to be more technology-led, whether it's AI or whether it's cybersecurity, or whether it is going to be like maybe teaching digital to our friends who come in from maybe rural side and then want to make their life in cities. Now, a lot of such initiatives have been taken in similar city hubs across the globe, where maybe cities where there possibly the rural our brothers who are coming to the cities, and we need to kind of inculcate basic language skills or digital skills where they can maybe find a better paying jobs to sustain in cities. Similarly, like looking at and developing a toolkit of sorts of how will you go about it? Like we can keep talking about it. We can possibly keep saying that like we need to reskill, we need to skill, but someone who can take a collective action, that this is a toolkit for possibly moving in the direction which can be, and there are a lot of online platforms which have come up for sure, one can leverage, but then things like cybersecurity, and it becomes even more responsible on us as a social media. It really takes and is already taken center stage, that how can we drive the action on this side. And the other thing is for the seniors, like organize maybe our seniors who have been part of the job, but then suddenly they realize that the relevance of their job is becoming so limited that unless they acquire digital skills, they're going to be left out, and then possibly livelihood will get lost. So how do we kind of create opportunities for all across a section, which could possibly be looking at different kind of digital skill sets? And India will be one of the most, I would say, biggest opportunity for us, because our average age being 27 years, and especially for you all who are like so young, can see the whole life shaping. So it's the best time for not just yourself, but then also look around and see how you can drive reskilling in this. The other one, which is going to be health well-being, because for sure COVID is here, and it will possibly maybe after this year it may recede and it should looking like, but the world has changed. World is not the same anymore what we had possibly seen 2 years back and we would have imagined. Now the world is pretty different world, where the kind of challenges that you guys have gone through, and especially seen others going through, mental health is going to be a big impact. And especially social media, I have my own thinking, but that may not be true. The power of social media in positive construct is what we have now. But then there is a huge responsibility and negative impact of the social media, which causes huge amount of stress and pressure in all of you, and you all go through. I can only remember that I was meeting one of the big political women leader who was also responsible for possibly women rights and other issues here in Maharashtra. And she was saying the kind of possibly complaints or the kind of issues which are brought up to her is like mind-boggling. Especially like we are thinking about some of those us who are well-to-do and possibly are able to afford education and but just go down in the real inclusive society and you will realize the challenge of social media. And so mental health is going to be one of the most critical part of things. Now, how do you really help others to be maybe kind of sustaining this, but not just sustaining, but keeping yourself much higher on top of this, and also realizing and accepting, because it should not be, it's not like in Indian society, it is mostly binary, which is like, oh, either someone is very healthy and very positive, and the other one like is practically gone down the drain. So that's something which we should not start segmenting. If we need help, and we should accept it. The other one is creating like practically inclusive communities, and there are a lot of initiatives that many of the youth organizations within our community, forum has been driving. Whether it's going to be like if all the refugees who come in from different cities or maybe from different countries to a new city, there is one big initiative of ensuring that they are taken around, made familiar to the place in terms of city, and make them inclusive in the city so that they can realize the opportunities. Similarly, like providing a big focus on women who possibly in terms of especially the lower income groups, how menstrual health can be a big challenge. How can you kind of inculcate those habits? It's been one of the big initiatives within Navi Mumbai hub, and you can also look at, there is a big program of Saheli which is being led by the youth there. So there are significant number of examples, whether it's on the gender, whether it is on the age, whether it is on the income, whether it is from the geography, how much help that you can do about creating inclusive communities. And maybe another small ones which I think we possibly can talk about is, one is bringing more fairness and transparency and strengthening the civic engagement system. I think this should have been the first as a responsibility, and Mr. Joshi talked about it. But then look around, and Mr. Joshi, you have represented this whole system so well in last so many years or decades of experience. But then our ecosystem also possibly, while it promotes and inculcates leaders, but then we need to drive more engagement of the civil society. Like how many of us can vote, how many of us can be really working with others to educate so that they can understand the larger issues which are important for them. So how can you really look at strengthening this whole civic engagement system and making your responsibility that when you represent the parliament, you're representing more holistically and more inclusive. So that's something which, and you have such amazing advantage of the social media to be used positively and not in the way possibly where it could be used in few bad examples in few other countries. So how can it be more inclusive, more responsible is what a civic engagement should look like. And then obviously looking at the basic needs. Never forget that we possibly, most of us will be, whenever we go through some disasters like the one which we are going through, so many jobs get lost. People, when they were in those initial days not able to get food, they didn't have the right to, for their earning their livelihood also because they could not go out. And then possibly also in this new shaping situation, many of them may not find even a job because their skills may not be required. It's a completely changing ecosystem. So how can you be part of all this is going to be one very, very big subject for you. So I'm just leaving you with some ideas which possibly you should all, small groups, get together, form those working groups, form those possibly within your team of driving agenda, but then keep doing it incrementally. This 12 months is an important opportunity, but the life is too long. So make it your motto that you are going to be kind of driving these initiatives all across. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and really wish you all the best for the next months.
Thank you so much, Purushottam sir, for sharing quite a varied and more detailed and point-specific perspective on how can these teenagers work on different issues in the next coming year. And I think a very good initiative also being taken at the World Economic Forum for Youths so that they can really influence and start doing stuff. So actually we have overshot our time limit, but the students had shared some amazing questions for our three speakers. So I'll try to invite at least some of them to share their questions with you. And I hope you'll be kind enough to answer their questions. Let me invite one of the members of this parliament to question Dr. C.P. Joshi. This lady has shared a very interesting question for you. Manya Katayar, who's a 9th class student from the Achiever School, Nagpur. Manya, if you're on the call, please unmute yourself and you may ask your question to Dr. C.P. Joshi.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Manya. I'm studying in grade 9 from the Achiever School. And I'm very glad and honored that I'm able to ask you a question, sir. I had two questions for you, sir. First, how can we be assertive and respectful in the assembly?
Pardon? How you can? Pardon your question, 1 second, please.
So she's saying, how can you be assertive and what was the other word I forgot?
Respectful. Is it respectable? Eh?
Yeah, respectful, yes.
You can be effective and respectable by your knowledge. So have more knowledge and use your knowledge to participate in debate, discussion, and arguing your argument.
Sir, thank you, sir. My second question to you was, in Parliament, ethics are very valuable lessons which can be implemented in all areas of life. So how can the Parliament ethics be a part of school education system?
I could not. Once again, please.
Sir, हम पार्लियामेंट में बहुत सारी वैल्यूबल लेसन सीखते हैं. हमारा बिहेवियर बहुत अच्छा रखना पड़ता है और वो सारे लाइफ लेसन्स हम हमारे बाकी एरियाज में भी लाइफ के इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं, तो वो जो पार्लियामेंट के एथिक्स है वो हम स्कूल में कैसे इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं और कैसे बच्चों को सिखा सकते हैं?
पार्लियामेंट में जो प्रैक्टिस है उसको समझने की जरूरत है कि एक पार्लियामेंटेरियन से क्या अपेक्षा की जाती है। उसको नॉलेज हो, अपने नियम और कानून का पालन करे और ठीक ढंग से बिहेवियर करे, अपनी बात रखे। ये जो वैल्यूज है उसको हम स्कूल में भी इनकलकेट कर सकते हैं, जिसमें बच्चों में लगे कि भाई किस तरह से अपनी बात को रखनी चाहिए विद इन द लिमिट, विद इन नॉलेज, और इफेक्टिव ढंग से कैसे रख सकें, ये हम वहां से सीख सकते हैं।
Thank you so much, Manya. Thank you so much, CP sir. And let me invite one more parliamentarian to ask her question. This parliamentarian comes all the way from Spain. A very warm welcome, Carla Torre Costa. For your question, you can unmute yourself and put your question now.
Hi. Well, I'm very glad to be here and to be able to take part in this project, and I'm very honored to talk to you. But my question, I had quite a few, but I think the first question that I would like to be answered is what expectations you have from us. Well, from your talk, I could make up some expectations that you probably think of us and what we will do, but I would like to hear them from you firsthand. So what's going to be like? What do you think it's going to be like for us to participate in this? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carla.
I'm very happy that my expectation from you is very simple. If you want to be parliamentarian, you please have a knowledge and parliament practices known to you, and then use this knowledge to effectively arguing your questions, your arguments, and your views in parliament. So once you have your knowledge, you will be most effective parliamentarian, and you will be able to influence the policy of the government.
I think if we could have a perspective from Dhuwarakha and Purushottam ji as well on this, that what do you expect from these parliamentarians? What do you think that these parliamentarians should be doing in the next 1 year?
Well, from my side, what I would like to say is that, obviously, as Mr. Dr. Joshi suggested, really to have that knowledge is important. But I would also say to really have that information, understand your local situation, what are the areas that you could really take action on, find out who else can really help you take those actions. I would say that for me personally, one of the things that I would really expect from all of you is to really speak up for others as well, especially those who are most marginalized. And that would be really bringing about the difference, not just for your life, you will also be bringing about differences for those who are not as privileged as all of us who are here today.
To add on, I think my word would be very simple. Just be, how can you be more responsible citizens and leaders, considering that you are now, you have the responsibility of representation across your community. How can you be more inclusive? How can you be more responsible towards nature? How can you really look at the larger agenda of social good and also look at more of cooperation across the communities? So I would rather say be a responsible citizen leader.
So the next question comes from Ayushi Gupta from Seth MR Jaipuria School. So Ayushi, if you're on the call, you can unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for giving this chance to speak here. My question is to Dr. C.P. Joshi, sir. So I just want to ask you that can you please suggest us a way through which all of us can work together peacefully on this platform? Like, how can we maintain the decorum of this platform? Because we know that there are so many teens from different parts of the world, not from only one nation. So how can we maintain the decorum of this parliament? This is my question to you.
Have patience, listen their argument, and then interact with them with your knowledge. So with this, you can overcome the different culture and different views. So in democracy, you have to respect different views and try to accommodate your views accordingly and give your argument effectively so that you can influence them.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question comes from Tazkia Wasim Kadri. Tazkia, if you're on the call, you can please unmute yourself. Okay, I think Tazkia, are you there on the call? Okay, there could be some challenge. Let me take the next question from Pragya Jain. Pragya, you can unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tazkia Kadri from DPST International. My question is to Dhuwarakha ma'am. Ma'am, I wanted to know your views on how empowering teens, how empowering us to share our ideas and work towards them of changing world would affect us, like our growth as youth and the global impact about it.
So I think I'll kind of address it in the two folds, Saskia. One is how does it affect you, but also in terms of both positive and negative, right? So one of the things that I have really experienced, the dilemmas that I've experienced when I tell young people, speak up and voice your concerns, take action, is the fact that sometimes some of the young people and young leaders don't have a supportive ecosystem, whether it's their parents, whether it's their community or friends. So they are sometimes very much alone in really fighting that battle. So it's a lot of pressure sometimes on young people that we are putting as well. And that's something that I also struggle when I say, take action means what? Do we really are providing that kind of supportive ecosystem for young people? And that's what actually drove me to my current work that I'm doing. How do we really get more and more people to come together to support young people in their journey, right? I think the other is in terms of it gives you experiences. And I'm speaking from when I was a teenager and certain choices that I made and certain actions that I took, maybe both good and bad, because for me, failing and is a learning, a key learning, and it has shaped how I've become. So it's about being resilient as well. So through the process of taking actions, it can be both positive and negative. It can give you a lot of learnings as well, even if you fail, and take it in your stride and move forward. So I think keeping that positive spirit is critical, but also ensuring that there is a support system for you so that you're not alone in your fight.
Thank you so much, Dhuwarakha, ma'am. And actually, a lot of teenagers have given a lot of questions, but we are nearly at the conclusion of the call, so we won't be able to take any more questions. But before the call actually comes to a conclusion, all the teen MPs, you can see the list of the top 100 teen MPs who are the members of Parliament of the World Teen Parliament on Blub World's platform within the next 10 to 15 minutes. Once this session comes to an end, you can see your list there. And the internal parliamentary session starts from 2 p.m. and will continue till 5 p.m. India time. So please be there during that session. There are different committees. Everything will get constituted today. So be there during that session. Before the call comes to an end, all the teenagers who are here, these kind of masterclasses will be held for you nearly every month. We'll be getting some amazing people to share their experience, their expertise, their network with all of you. So keep asking the right questions. Today, I'm very happy to share with all the speakers today that all these children were researching about you and your experience for the last 2 days. We had shared your profiles with them, and then they figured out questions. So we'll also share some of their questions with you on email. If you have the time, we would request you to please respond to them on email so that they can at least get a vibe or a feel that how does somebody like you respond or has a perspective on different things in life. So thank you so much, everyone. Before this call comes to an end, I would like to invite Mr. Mayank Gaur, the advisor for Blub World, to give the formal vote of thanks before we conclude this session. Over to Mr. Mayank Gaur.
Good afternoon, everyone. A big, warm, heartfelt thanks to all of you for being here. World Teen Parliament. Wow. Such an ingenious platform for any commingled teens' social representation which we could have come across in our lives ever. Today, here, in this very first session, the presence and participation of you all make this an exuberant first step. We would like to thank our guests, Dr. CP Joshi, the Honourable Speaker of Rajasthan Legislative Assembly, Ms. Dhuwarakha Sriram, Chief of Generation Unlimited YuWaah UNICEF Youth Development and Partnerships, and Mr. Purushottam Kaushik, Head of the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution Network India World Economic Forum. Your words today were the inspiration for tomorrow. Thank you. A big thanks to all teen MPs of the World Teen Parliament for your valuable representation. Thanks to all our advisors, partners, supporters, mentors, school custodians, school ambassadors, school leaders, principals, teachers, parents, family and friends for enriching this platform. Thanks to all viewers and attendees. Kudos to Team Blub World for this initiative and its enormous execution. And after all, we can't call it a day without giving a hats off thanks to Mr. Daksh Gaur, founder Blub World. At the end, it's his aura and charisma which has brought all of us together. Thank you all again. Have a wonderful time ahead. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, the amazing speakers, teachers, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that within the next 12 months, when the World Teen Parliament works on these ideas, we're able to give you some amazing achievements when this comes to a conclusion at the year end. And just so that everyone knows, and it's a point of caution for all the MPs, remember, you can only become a member of Parliament, of the World Teen Parliament, once in your lifetime and never again. So you have this opportunity only for this year. So don't let it go to waste. And we'll try our best to amplify, empower, and give you everything possible so that you can execute the ideas that you already gave on improving the world. Thank you so much, Dr. C.P. Joshi, Mr. Purushottam Kaushik, and Ms. Dhuwarakha Sriram for being here with us. Thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend ahead. Namaste.